right. It is February, which means Valentine's, which as a person who has been single the vast majority of her life, I'm like, stupid Valentine's. I just watched one of the great love movie. It's called Shakespeare in Love. It's on Netflix this month. It is such a good movie, so good. Albert Feinstein and Gwyneth Paltrow, and it's basically like the story of Shakespeare writing Romeo and Juliet while he's living it. It's so good, and I love romance movies, and I hate them. I love them because I'm like, oh, like I feel that love, and then I hate them because I'm like, oh, still have to go to bed by myself. So it's like a double-edged sword, you know, like. But if you think about all these romance movies, they show the romance start. They always show the start of it. And they've got these trials, and then they finally get together, and it's like, oh, and they ride off into the sunset. And you just imagine the story is over. From here on to the rest of their lives, everything's going to be perfect and beautiful, and there's not going to be any problems. So we have, like, I put up some quintessential ones. We've got Cinderella, like those of us who grew up with Disney, Cinderella riding off in her carriage with Prince Charming, and you just assume for the rest of their lives they had a perfect marriage. And then you've got Grease, Danny and, what's her name? Sandy, Danny and Sandy. They've got this, they're kind of a Romeo and Juliet situation, you know. And at the end, they dress in each other's cliques' clothes, and they literally ride off in the convertible, and it flies off into the sunset, and you're like, they're going to live their lives happily ever after. Oh. And then we've got this moment for those of us who are a little younger. We got a little Tom Cruise and, what's her name? Charlize Theron? What's her name? You complete me. This is from Jerry Maguire. Roxanne's back there going, But the movies, a lot of movies would have you think that this is the way marriage is. That you had me at hello, you complete me, and now everything's gonna be perfect and wonderful, and bluebirds are gonna be chirping your whole life long. But there's this other video I found. I love this couple. I follow them on Facebook, and they show the kind of the reality between the two worlds. That's the Holderness family. They're hilarious. If you are on Facebook, I recommend you follow them. But I love that they give this kind of realistic, you know, that when people first get married, they're like, oh, it's going to be perfect. And then over time, you're like, oh my gosh, they're annoying me. And we tend to, when we've been in a relationship, marriage, you know, in marriage, we call it the honeymoon period. That lasts about 2 years when they're perfect and nothing they do is bad and nothing annoys you. And then after about 2 years, you start to be like, you're not perfect, you're kind of annoying. Oh, the way you did that, I used to think that was cute. Now I'm like, oh my gosh. And over time, you know, we get like when you're first going out, like think of those first couple dates, like you get gussied up. You know, you do your hair and your makeup and you're looking cute, and then you get married and you're in sweatpants and like face cream and your hair's in a messy bun and you're like, it's fine. All right, caught them, who cares? We do this in all relationships. And I know we're talking about love this month, but we do this in all relationships. We do in friendships too. When you're first friends with someone, you're really careful about what you say and you make sure you do fun things. And over time, you just kind of start to assume that you're friends and it's fine and you let it go. Or like, you know, and parents and their babies, they're so attentive to their babies, but over time, they're at dinner and they're on their phones or whatever. Like, we do it in all relationships. We're really attentive at first, and then over time, we start to take, not advantage, but like we just start to get used to it, and we don't think about it, and we don't cultivate that relationship. I think of it like a plant. Like, I used to think, I'm starting to garden, I used to think you just put the seeds in the ground, make sure they have enough water, like, it's fine. And I'm learning as I get older that plants need cultivation. They need that constant tending, looking for pests and make sure they're in the right spot and all this stuff. And I was like, man, gardens are work. Like, I just thought you just throw some seeds in the ground, throw some water on, fine. But relationships are like that. And so I want to show you a trailer for a different romance movie that I love. It's one of my all-time favorite romance movies. It's called 50 First Dates with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, if any of you have seen it. If you haven't, you need to find it and watch it. It's great. And the premise is Henry is a marine biologist on Hawaii, and he goes to this cafe one day and he meets Lucy. And they have this great conversation. They hit it off. He's like, all right, I like this girl. And so he goes back the next day to the same cafe because he's not brave enough to get her number. And he just walks up and starts talking to her and touching her waffles. And she's like, who are you? What are you doing? Why are you? And she freaks out. And he walks out and he's like, what the? And someone walks out and says, hey, by the way, she doesn't have any short-term memory. She was in a bad car accident. And she can't make new memories. When she goes to sleep, her memories are wiped out. And so here's the trailer. All right. So what I love about that movie is, what's her name? I just lost it. Anyways, she can't remember him. Every day her slate is wiped clean, and because he met her before the accident, he has to woo her every day. Every day he has to get up, he stores up little tidbits of information, and he'll send her the right flowers, or he'll do the things or say the things that she likes, and every day he makes it his mission to make her fall in love with him again. He has basically one day to make her fall in love with him every day, and every day he keeps going back, knowing the next day she's going to have forgotten everything he already did. And I love that picture of what love looks like, because people tell him, her dad's like, buddy, just forget it. This will never work. You can't have a long-term relationship with her. She's not going to remember who you are. Every day she's going to wake up and not know who you are. Every day you're going to have to work at it. And what happens if you try to have a family? She's going to wake up suddenly pregnant? Like, that's going to freak her out. Like, you can't do this to her. And so he does. He's like, all right, fine, I give up. And then they end up together. Spoiler alert, in the end. But I love this picture of what love looks like, because this picture shows the other side of it. You have to, in every relationship, we have to take Henry's point of view. In every relationship, you need to daily do things to cultivate that relationship. You need to daily do things to show them that you love them. And we, the quintessential Bible verse in love, the Bible verse you hear at every wedding is 1 Corinthians 13. A lot of times they start at number 4. It says, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It's not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects. It always trusts. It always hopes. It always perseveres. Love never fails. And I think it's interesting. It doesn't say it protects in the beginning. It trusts when it's easy. It hopes when things are going well. It perseveres sometimes. It usually doesn't fail. It says always and never, which to me implies every day. Constant cultivation. Like a good plant, a relationship needs constant cultivation. You might need to fertilize it if it's starting to look weak. You might need to pull some pests off of it. Some of our relationships have pests that are trying to destroy our relationships. Sometimes we need to pick those pests off. We need to do a better job taking a Henry Roth approach to our relationships and be thinking to ourselves, what can I do every day to keep this relationship strong? And yes, marriage, but even your other relationships, your relationships with your siblings, with your friends. What can you do regularly to help them to feel like, I appreciate you, I see you, I care about you? What are things that you can do regularly to cultivate those relationships? Even coworkers. You got a coworker where there's a relationship that's kind of gone stale or sour. What can you do to cultivate that relationship? And Jesus showed us that sometimes those cultivations are sacrifices. Jesus sacrificed his life so we would know that we were loved by God. Those cultivations are often at a sacrifice to us. Henry had to give up hours of his day every day to make her know once again that he loved her. He couldn't just put their relationship on cruise control. He had to constantly be watching out for it, constantly be cultivating it. We need to constantly cultivate our relationships. If you want them to come back to life, if you don't want them to go stale, what can you do to take the Henry Roth method? And another thing is, If you go earlier in this 1 Corinthians verse, he says, if I speak in tongues of angels, but I don't have love, I'm a resounding gong. I'm a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and I can fathom all the mysteries and have all the knowledge and all the faith that can move mountains, but I don't have love, I am nothing. If I give all that I have to the poor and I give my body to hardship, that I can boast, but I don't have love, I gain nothing. We can't just go through the motions. We've got to mean it. You know, it's kind of like the quintessential, like a man messes up and he gives his wife flowers. He doesn't really feel sorry, but he knows that the flowers or the jewelry will buy him her regard back. Unless he truly feels sorry, like that's waste. We don't do things just for nothing. We do things out of love. Those sacrifices we make for relationships are out of love. That time that we spend is out of love. Love means we sacrifice, we give. We regularly think to myself, what can I do? Like I think in a marriage, what can I do every single day? What small act can I do at least once a day to show you that I love you? To demonstrate my love in action. To pour God's love out of me and onto you. And then my other question is, we're in church. Do you love God? Do you have a relationship with God? Are you cultivating your relationship with God? In the same way you cultivate, when you first were, those of you who in the room who are married, have been married, when you first got together, you worked at it. You looked good, you made sure you called them, you texted them, whatever. It was a regular thing that you were doing to cultivate that relationship. Do you take that much care and time to cultivate your relationship with God? Are you talking to him daily? Are you praying? Are you thanking him for things daily? Do you get in his word daily to allow him to speak back to you? If you don't feel like you have a good relationship with God, what are you doing to cultivate your love with God? What are you doing to help God feel your love? Are you taking the Henry Roth mentality into your relationship with God? And if not, that might be why, because he's not pushy. He won't barge in, but he loves to be invited in. And so if you invite him in, he'll come. But if you don't say to him, hey, God, come on in, let's have a chat. Hey, God, I want to chat with you today. I want to spend some time with you today. He won't reach out first. A lot of us in our relationships, we think, well, they don't call me. If you want to restore that relationship, you need to call them. You need to get over yourself and call them first. You need to send that text, send that meme, do whatever it takes to cultivate that relationship on your own. You need to take that. Because what does Jesus say? The people were asking him, what's the greatest command? He says the greatest command is to love God with all your heart, your soul, and all your mind. That comes first. We go to God because he is the source of love. They say God is love. He is the wellspring of love. So if you go to him first, then... And the second is love your neighbor as yourself. I go to God first, I get filled up. Then I have love to pour out onto other people. So if you're feeling like you're not loved, if you're feeling like you're all alone, you're feeling like nobody cares about you, step one is to go to God and cultivate that relationship with God and let him fill you up. And then ask him to open your eyes to those in your sphere who he wants you to love on. And start cultivating that relationship. Start fertilizing that relationship. Ask yourself, ask God, are there pests attacking this relationship? Am I acting like Henry in my relationships? Think of maybe the top 5 relationships in your life. Do you approach those relationships like Henry ran after Lucy? And if the answer is no, well then how can you? What can you be doing regularly, daily, to cultivate those relationships, to coax that relationship back to life? Because reconciliation is possible. Relationships, I've seen, when I think about plants, there have been many a times I have not taken good care of a plant and it's been nothing but a brown twig. And I'm but I snap a little and it's got a little green on the inside. I'm okay, there's still hope for this one. And I water it and fertilize it and repot it and put it in a good spot and it comes back and it blooms. So there are relationships that might be a brown twig in your life. And some of them are too far gone. I hate to say that, but some are just, they've closed the door on you. But if there's any life left, how can you cultivate? How can you fertilize? How can you create a good space for that relationship to thrive again? And we do that by acting like Henry Roth and daily doing something that you know will show that person our love. So each week I like to give you guys 4 practical things that we can do to take this message away with us, to interact with this message outside of this hour. I dare you. So the dare this week is to identify one relationship that has withered in your life. Let's start with 1. What is one intentional act that you can do this week to help it bloom again? Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's just a phone call. Maybe it's asking them out to lunch. Maybe it's bringing them a little gift. Maybe it's next time you see that friend, give them a hug. You know, there are different things. You know your friends. You know what they like. You know what makes them feel good. What's something that you know makes them feel good that you can do to fertilize that relationship? And you could ask God, who in my life needs more intentional love from me? And let God put on your heart someone to call, someone to send a card to, someone to spend some time with. Let him give you some direction in that. You could read 1 Corinthians and ask yourself, which of these have I stopped practicing? And then, or you could tell someone, this one seems really gutsy to me, but man, I read a book and it said to do this, and it's the therapist made couples do this. And, you know, of course, they've got tons of stories of how this really helped their relationship. Say, like, I want to do a better job. Show me. What would help you if I did this that would help you feel more love? You know, in a spousal relationship, she might be like, man, if you could start doing the laundry, that'd be great. If you could cook a couple nights a week so I don't have to cook and so I'm not exhausted all the time, that'd be great. If you could sit on the couch and not be on your phone, actually sit and talk to me and not be on your phone the whole time, that would make me feel really loved. If you could put your phone away at dinner, that would make me feel loved. You know, if when we were watching TV, you could sit like literally next to me touching me instead of over there in your lazy boy, I would feel more connected to you. It'll probably be a small thing that you could easily do. And if you love that person, then do it. But be brave enough to ask them, how can I love you better? What's something that's getting in the way? What is something that is withering our relationship? What can I do to do better? We can bring our like dead and dying relationships back to full bloom if we cultivate them intentionally, regularly. And all of God's children said, amen.